All right, folks, 2015 Cadillac. It's the ATS. It's got the big 2.5 Luxury, whatever that means. And apparently the engine is no good. The guy brought me the car. He brought me the engine and says swap it out. So that's what we're going to do. I've never done one. This car's rear-wheel drive. I did look in service data. Don't know much about them. And I think what we'll do in this case, and in most cases when it's a job I've never done, I do it by the book the first go around. So you learn some tips and tricks. So that's what we're going to do. Camera, service data. Let's get after it. Step one was disconnect negative battery, and it already is. I had to throw the charger on it. Battery was stone dead, but rest assured it's unhooked. Step two is to discharge the AC system. So we'll get this going. Oh, wrong one, fella. For the AC to pull down. Step three, we need to drain the coolant, but to do that we've got to take all these air deflectors off, so we're going to work on those. I should let the back of that air deflector down, I think. The other side's busted, so I can't tell what it's supposed to be. Oh, yeah, okay. So that lets that side down. Now we got to get the clips across the front of it. Sounds like our AC machine is done. Oh, she's getting loose. Got everything? Oh, no, it must be one more screw here in the front. Oh gosh dang it, there is. Both of them are broke on that. I didn't take any screws out of the other side, and that side's loose. There's that. And then that air deflector should come down. Huh, no, the little clip for the one over on the left side is right here. But I didn't take a screw out of it because I saw this back corner here is busted. It's supposed to look like that there. But that side's broke. Before we take that front one off, let's unhook these. That way we can raise the vehicle up all the way. And that'll be a lot handier. So being all hunched over. So there's that. Unhook those, put the caps back. We don't lose them. And it looks like we took out 15 ounces of refrigerant. We'll write that down so we don't forget. Wrong size completely. Still the wrong size. Wow. This shouldn't go well. Let's try it again. Third time. I'm going to put it on the impact because I know I'm right. Oh yeah, first try. Oh, dropped it. Fail. Well, I thought that would just kind of slide right out of there. Oh, there's a rubber piece up above it. Kind of got to flick that up. Pick up the screw on the floor. And there's that little fella there. The thing that's kind of a pisser about these cars is everything is aluminum. So finding a place to put your light's kind of tricky. We're going to pull this little rubber deflector off here. Possibly. Do it without crushing your fingernail. Just has little push nails in it. February, guys riding a Harley. That's Die Hard, so there's some little push nails. You gotta be dedicated to be doing that, boys. Alright, and then, let's see. Just trying to find a peacock here on the radiator. Should be around here somewhere. No, we'll keep poking. Oh, it's over here on the side. Well, we're almost done taking this whole little deflector off. There's that side. Whoa, easy. I'll come up and get the other side here. I'll try to do most of the video so you can't see anything. Freaking plastic cars. Set down the light. I have to have a headlight for this job, I think. If it's not plastic, it's aluminum. Makes them lightweight, I guess. Oh, this one might have a little something more over here. Oh yeah. This side is way more involved. It goes all the way up to the core support, so we're just gonna leave that well enough alone. We'll leave her hanging. Yeah, because for some reason, let me see, unless this side is broken. No, it doesn't appear to be. This is all rubber. Doesn't appear to be broken. I think we're okay. We can get to the petcock. It may be broken. This thing has overspray on stuff, so apparently it's been in a collision at some point. Boy, it's had a rough 15,000 miles or 18,000 miles, not many miles on it. But that makes sense why some of this plastic stuff is broken on a car with no miles. Because there's overspray on the side of the radiator here, so we know it's had some body shop stuff. Mother of pro, let's get some pliers. Oh, guess this guy was just being a wuss. There she goes. All right, so we'll let that drain and that'll complete step number 3. Finishing off peeing down there. Peeing like it's got swollen prostate. Let's open this baby up. Maybe that'll help the flow. Now she's flowing. We gotta pull the little trim cover off here. Take that bolt out. Take that thing off. Put that back on there. Boy, she's pretty clean. Oh, must be they were unloading the parts can. It's got a new coil, so that must be the cylinder that's dead. So that was step 4, I think. And then we need to take the air cleaner off. Air cleaner assembly here, so we'll unhook that. Let's grab our service data, make sure we're on track. Remove intake manifold cover, check. Step 4. Step 5, remove air cleaner assembly. Check. So let's get that bad boy out of the way. I assume it means the whole shebang here, which it may not mean it because I don't see any reason why we have to take that whole thing out. If I'm being honest, eventually we're just going to get to a point where we just start making it up how it comes out, especially when we get close. So we're going to unhook it from the throttle body there. We'll unhook it right here. Get a really long screwdriver. I don't know, why did I grab this? Oh. First things I have my mitts on, I guess. Looks like a rubber donger down there on the front. Let's just hook onto the front of the timing cover. Yes, sir. So it has a little rubber hole there. I'll set that there. We'll unplug the mass airflow because I don't know if the engine harness goes with the engine on the way out. It may. ECM's right here. And then the air filter assembly on GM usually is just popped in. Yes, sir. Look at that. So we'll take out the whole shebang just because that's easier than taking the lid off it. We've got to undo that wire clip right there. Oh, maybe you guys are out of frame. Hey, it's that guy. We'll push that out. Mass airflow, and I'm gonna go set this stuff to the side. So next on the list, it tells us to remove the radiator hoses and the surge tank hose. But prior to doing that, we're gonna take and pop the belt off because I don't want to get any coolant on it. If it can come off, looks like you might have to take the tensioner off. To do so, we'll find out here. Can you sneak it back through there? Oh gosh. Stupid cars. Should be a 15 probably. Loosen up the tensioner. So we've got enough room. Alright, I'm gonna go mark this the direction that it was on there. So when we put it on the new used engine, we're going the same direction there. Then we'll go after these hose clamps here. Get them slid back on the hoses without snapping our fingers, hopefully. Grab us a hose pick. Crack loose. I'm just going to slowly bring it off the engine here, make sure it's not right full. Oh, too good. Now we're just going to bring this, because I believe the radiator and everything's going to stay in the car. I think we're dropping the whole cradle, engine training, everything hooked to it, I think. I'm not positive. I haven't read enough through all the details to figure that out yet. So we'll just stick that hose kind of up to the side. We've got the surge tank hose here, on top of the engine. We'll grab that. Looks a little crusty anyways. Slide that back. Give that a wiggle. See the cracker loose there. Yes, sir. And then I think we'll just kind of stick that to the side, leave it hooked to the radiator, and then the upper radiator hose here back in on the engine. I'm not so sure we can get down there with these little fellas. Yeah, we can, but we can't squeeze them. Let's see, maybe. Baby. Got my fingertips up on there. Well, I tell you what. Let's see if we can't push that clamp back up just a little bit. There we go. Just want to stand her up straight, because then I think I can come down these double jointed pliers and then get a hold of it, I believe. Yes, sir. Get that clamp to come back. She's tight to that wiring harness. Okay, the clamp's back now. Now we're in good shape. Clamp's off. I don't know if I can get in here with a pick and not hurt anything. Yes, sir. Well, I can get it under the hose, I just can't do anything with it. There we go. See if I can get around the bottom side here. Whoa, you guys are gonna go for a little ride. Yeah, I better move you because you're gonna. There she goes. Now she, whoa. That one had a lot of water in it, dude. Now let me go grab another bucket. Okay, here we go. We should be able to hit one of these buckets somewhat. Yeah, I think we did. Lucky us. And then this hose here, I'm just gonna bring her around and stick her in the fan shroud for right now. Just keep it out of the way. Down back that way. Make sure you put your nut and stuff back in there if you loosen her up. Okay, let's go to step 4. I guess it's actually step 10. It says disconnect the fuel line here. And then it tells us to unhook some AC lines, which we have to do. And then it says prepare the transmission for removal. That's it. That's all it says. What is that? What does that mean? What does that mean, Chevy? So we're going to unhook the gas line, which we understand what that means. So there's that. At some point here, we're going to have to unhook the purge line. That's got to be coming up here in the next few steps because that runs in the same harness. So let's just do that while we're right here. Unhook the purge. Okay, purge line's unhooked. Clip that gray lock back in. Come on, Chivy. Put a little tab down, we can get that line down. There we go, line's out. Okay, so there's our gas line and our purge line. And we'll probably end up zip tying these up out of the way. Let's see where it wants us to unhook the AC lines at. We're gonna make an assumption. Well, first assumption drawn, it's not 15. We're going to assume it wants us to unhook them right off the compressor. So I think it really kind of makes sense. It just says unhook the AC compressor and condenser line. And then it shows a picture of this fitting here, which that doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. So let's just unhook them right straight off the compressor, because our ultimate job, our goal here is to get the engine out. So we're gonna take this out. Now this still may have some residual pressure in it even though we evacuated it. It's a good system and it's been inside warming up, so you may hear a little poof. Pull this line loose here. Put on your safety squints just in case. What the heck? Nope, no poof. So that's unhooked. Let's get something to block them hoses. Remove the front fuse block, remove the ECM, disconnect the lever lock, attaches the base of the ECM, remove ground cables. So there's a few more things that need to be done up here. But I looked where it says to remove the front suspension, or the front suspension frame, and then it has you, it tells you use chicken wire to hold the radiator in and stuff like that. So I'm kind of curious, like how close are we to just pulling the whole radiator out? I'm not sure. The whole thing's still pretty unclear. It's about as clear as mud. At any rate, at this point, we're just going to start making up our own rules. We'll refer to the book a little bit. I want to pull this plastic cover off because I want to see the top of the radiator. Because if we're going to support it, when we drop the powertrain out of it, I want to see what we have to support it to, or is it just silly? Should we just be pulling the whole radiator out anyways? I don't believe that the engine can just come up and out like a conventional rear-wheel drive because of the design of the engine mounts. I'll take the time to show you, but you're just going to have to trust me. Perhaps it can, but sometimes we'll spend a lot of hours trying to save a little bit of time of doing it the right way, if that makes sense to you. Well, I'll be dipped. Let's see. Let me get a light. Boy, what a pisser. Just a Christmas tree fastener, but boy, it's in there pretty snug. There. Didn't even break. There's that one. We forgot one down here in the middle. There's that. So a bunch of those little fellas. And now that should come up and out. So that one there. I'll show you on the bottom here. They're like door panel retainers. You got one there, 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 and there. But now we can at least see what we're meddling with. Is it worth trying to keep this whole mess in, or do we just take a couple bolts out, and that way when we drop the subframe, from the sounds of it, we don't have to meddle with that. I pulled the two upper support brackets off here, and it's pretty stiff. There's a bunch of crap hooked to it. So we're gonna skip it. It says to remove this fuse box here. This guy can even figure out how to get the lid off. So you can see where all these bolts been touched, like, this ground here's been painted. It's obviously had some collision work done. Not that matters, I'm just stating the obvious here. Gives me something to talk about. So we're gonna see about getting this unhooked. and out of the way. The only spot we've skipped so far is the preparing of the transmission. That tab that tab's broke, so that's why we didn't have to pry that tab back. What do we have over here? Let's have some more stuff to unhook. And we do. A bunch of big honky-tonk fuses. Let's undo them 13s there. I don't know if we got a socket out here. We don't. Oh, we do. Never mind. We got an old swivel neck here. Wrong way, dude. Is that all we're gonna have to undo? Yes, ma'am. I think so. There's that one and that one. We'll get those undone, and probably this 10 that holds this little block on. Looks like, right over, which we have the 10 here, oddly enough. I don't know if we need to take, if we're taking just this half. Where did you go, you mother? Oh, it's right there. Let me get a magnet. Went about that the wrong way, didn't you, dude? Got it. Okay. Because I don't know. We need to unhook all of the, the bus fuses here. If it just wants the fuse box removed, which is kind of silly, or are we disassembling the whole panel here, which I assume we're taking this whole mess apart because it wants us to get the ECM out of there. Also, sometimes, this is where lacking experience kind of stinks, because having never done one of these, I don't 100% know what's necessary and what's not. Obviously, the 3 wires on the ECM, I'm not seeing, I'm not seeing the reason why this has to come undone, but I think I do. I think the wiring harness and or part of the wiring harness here, nope, that heads down to the front of the car. That can't go. I'm just trying to figure out what stays and what goes. It feels like it's just Christmas treed in. I don't see why this is necessary at this point. Let me do a little more looking here. Well, unfortunately, I didn't learn anything. So I'm guessing that we're gonna have to kind of keep motor in here. Right, these are the release tabs, aren't they? I guess we'll pull the whole block. It just tells you the fuse block housing, remove it. It just is part of the housing. I thought these just had the release tabs here on the side. Well, try this again. There's one. So they just have little release tabs on each side. You just flick them and they pull out, and then you click them back in, the housing. So they're not too terribly difficult to remove, as long as you know where the little clips are. Yeah, you can get your dang fingers on them. There's that one. Go. We've got one wiring harness retainer here on the back. Huh. Thought it was going to come out a little easier. It's not shoved in all the way, but holy smokes. So there's that, just that one Christmas tree. So that's what that bracket looks like. You don't really have to worry about messing it up. It's labeled black, tan, well, black and tan. I guess that's because black and tan, that's a good beer. Saranac makes it, I think, right? That's because they're the same size connector, and they're probably interchangeable. It lets you know who goes where. And that is true, they look quite identical. So you wouldn't want to give her the old 1-2 switcheroo, huh? Now we've got to remove the brain box, as they call it. The PCM, or the ECM, or whatever you want to call it. The computer, the control module. We're going to hook those wires. And then so we don't do any damage, we're just going to get her out of the way. So you can pull that out, because those pins are pretty fine. And you don't want to go messing them up. Like I say, this whole thing may have been completely unnecessary. The ECM harness, I completely understand. That I completely understand, because I do believe the engine harness is going to stay on the car. Of course, we're going to have, you know, the wire for the starter, the alternator. That one comes from the battery. That one comes out, goes down into this main harness. So yeah, I don't know. I'm still unclear yet as to what's necessary and what's not, because the harness at the alternator, and I assume the starter wire, that's a 70, 100, that's a 200 amp. I assume, I mean, looking at this harness, this thing goes down and around through the radiator. I mean, that one's not coming out with the motor. Of course, it wraps up through this crap. We'll just keep we'll keep plucking away here, folks. Let's see, we're at step, what number are we at? 15. Remove the ECM. Disconnect on 16. Disconnect the lever lock connector attached to the base of the ECM bracket. So this is our ECM bracket. This is a lever lock connector. Does it say disconnect the connector, or just disconnect the lever lock connector attached to the base of the ECM bracket? So I don't know if that means just take the whole thing off the bracket, or if it actually means to disconnect it. I guess at this point, I mean, it'd be kind of silly just to remove it from the I don't know. I guess we'll leave it connected for right now. Let's see, remove the ground cable nut. This is step 17. At the right front inner core support and remove the cable. Okay, and that goes down with that harness. Okay, so that's this little guy right here. So that's probably a 13. Yep. Unhook it, put that nut back on there. And it's starting to kind of make sense here, because if this, it all goes down to the same harness, and if this harness goes, let's see, okay, here we go. 18, disconnect the engine harness retainers at the right engine compartment frame rail and reposition the harness on the engine. So that has to be this harness here, which I know you guys probably can't see a lot of, but my concern is that sucker goes right this way. It goes all the way to across the bottom of the core support and everything. So how can that stay attached with the engine? I'm going to have to go underneath and see how far that goes. Perhaps it's just the harness for the power steering, which it may be, because it has electric power steering. So I'm going to assume that it is. I'm going to assume that service data is correct. And we're going to go like this. So that's our ECM harness. We're going to unhook this bracket, or unhook this clip right here from the ECM bracket. Possibly. And get her out without breaking. Come on, baby. Sometimes all this plastic crap is the toughest thing. You know, we just want to get these harness clips out without breaking them, but sometimes you got no choice. Well, we'll leave that one about where it's at. And then I do believe this is part of that harness. I'm going to pull out some more of these Christmas tree fasteners here on the ECM bracket. That one came out nice and easy. Got this other one that runs down the side. That one came out nice and easy. We just got one that's playing hardball. And this is the one, this is the one we just disconnected here, which I believe we need to disconnect. That's part of this harness. It's all part of that harness, that right side harness they're talking about that runs down the frame rail. Let's see if we can't get this last remaining Christmas tree fastener out of here without breaking it. Let's give it a little flexi back here. Come on. Yes, you mother lover. We got that mother loving thing. Okay, so yeah, that's part of this harness. And before we get too far with these, we'll just we'll bring them down and around here. That also has our ground cable with it. Okay, that's the ground cable we just unhooked. That's our 3 ECM connectors. And then it says something here about disconnect the engine harness retainers at the right engine compartment frame rail. Position harness the engine, so we've got to go under there, unless that's what this is talking about. And then remove the positive cable at the 100 amp pre-fuse base and position that cable on the engine. So that's a 100 amper. Okay, this harness stays. I think they might be a little confused here, because if we're going for these 2 wires that's also attached to that harness, we're looking at the 200 amp and the 70 amp. Okay, well, let's do what makes sense here. Let me grab a Ugga Dugga gun. Give her a little whack here. There's that. That's a little less stressful on the connection there than the air ratchet. So there's that one. And then I'm going to say this one here. We grabbed me an 8mm Josh 3/8 drive. There you go. And that should be the 70 amper here. That nut, I think, stays attached with that wire. It does. So there's that, and there's those 2 wires. And then I'm going to say the big battery. Oh, okay, I see what they're saying. They want us to unhook the 100 amp, leave the whole mess with it. I got you. That's right. We'll do it the other way, I guess. If that was the case, we would have had to assume that this one was already unhooked, which I don't ever recall coming across that in the process. So we'll stick that one there. Stick that back on, because that's our main cable coming from the trunk. And here's our 3 wires, so it must go down to the starter. Probably sneaks over to the alternator through the other one there. Yeah, because that's a feed, that's a 200. This is a 70. That alternator has to be more than a 70 amp alternator on a car like this. Okay, so that's that harness there. And like I said, the rest of that harness goes down, but I think it goes to the electric power steering, which is probably what that 70 amp might be. Hard to say. So I think we're on the right path, folks. We're running out of steps here. It says remove the vacuum hose off the brake booster, which we did, or which Josh did. He was standing over there. I was reading and he was unclipping, so we didn't get to see that, but that's okay. It's just a rubber hose and a 3-wire connector. And then it says to remove the heater hose connectors, which they have a a quick connect on them, but I don't want to send. It's got a little metal clip, almost like a jiffy link connector. I don't want to send it flying, so we'll see if we can't get it off there without causing any damage to them or spreading them apart. Probably could unhook the hose just at the hose clamps, but that sound like it hit the floor?
Doesn't sound like to me.
Well, the
probably landed in your bucket, probably.
Oh yeah, we got a bucket antifreeze under there, so that's good. All right, so that quick connects off. It sounded like it hit something kind of solid. We'll find it here in a minute. And then we're gonna get this quick connect off. Looks like you could pull them back right there until they lock, but it didn't feel like that hose was loose. Let me try to wiggle it here. Because you push it back, the wire clip and it sticks. Oh, okay, yeah, I should have just left that one alone. Because you just pull you just unlatch it. You guys probably can't see it with this bar in the way, but, and then you just click them back on, okay. All right, well, we'll have to find that clip or else. And then if these hoses are going out with the engine, we're gonna have to unhook it from the surge tank, which it didn't tell us to do, but we're gonna. So there's that. Give it a wiggle. All right, that should come off, and they're gonna stay with the engine. The best I can tell, reading through service data, it tells us, like I mentioned, to prepare the transmission for removal, but one of the last steps is to remove the front suspension, lowering, the engine and training out as an assembly. So preparing it does not mean to remove it. I think it means to get the wiring harness off it, the drive shaft, shift cable if it has one. Probably our best bet would be unhook the torque converter bolts while the car is still stationary. These are kind of snug back here. We'll have to watch that when we're taking it off. And then I did look at this harness down here. This electrical harness goes right around the engine. It's not attached to the frame rail, so I think we're good in that aspect. I think we're done up here. The engine's ready to come out. Because it is the law, the clip fell directly into the coolant. So if you keep a bucket of coolant under your car, you'll never lose a bolt. You always know right where it is.